Dilbert himself, he lacks a lot of verbal skills, even though we can tell that he's actually very intellectual. The problem is that he challenges his incompetent boss, who obviously doesn't listen to him or others. There's a clear example of poor leadership here by all members, which leads to obvious chaos. There's the failure to delegate tasks, and brainstorming basically doesn't go anywhere. An example of ways to fix this kind of organizational problem is to have a leader who is supporting and respectful of others, who listens to ideas, creates organization, and takes them in. It will therefore create a better work environment, higher productivity, motivation, and morale.
Fostering self-managing teams. So taking a look back at self-management within organizations for their groups and teams, from a socio-technical system perspective, which greatly emphasizes close connections between work design and teamwork, each team is highly effective in its own right and linked to other teams via individuals who serve as linking pins. The central idea in autonomous teams is the approach given to groups and their responsibilities which they have to take upon themselves, giving a whole meaning to their process. The team concept rarely works without ample training. So in this framework, workers need group skills and a broad range of technical skills so that each member understands and can perform someone else's job. Team members in this case have incentive to keep expanding their range of work and complement each other's skills, therefore producing a very successful and highly performing group. Within this structure, teams meet regularly to determine work assignments, scheduling, and current production. Supervision typically rests within team leaders who are either appointed or emerge from the group itself.
Chapter 14 is entitled Organization as Theater. In the beginning of the chapter, they talk about two dramaturgical traditions. The first person, Goffman, says that organizations, he sees them as if they were theatrical. So pretty much the theater is a metaphor, kind of like organizations are like a theater in a way. Next is Burke, who sees organizations as actual theater. So it's like actual performers creating a story or a scene. Also, DiMaggio and Powell talk about how organizations are more concerned with how innovations appear than what they actually add to effectiveness, which would be like, hence the theater would be performers doing something but not actually getting real work done. It's more for like entertainment. Even though economic performance does not increase, perceptions of innovativeness and confidence in management increase. And here the challenge is to maintain isomorphism, which is the processes that cause organizations to become. So there are three kinds of isomorphisms. The first one would be coercive isomorphism, which is when organizations change to become more similar in response to outside pressures or requirements. An example here would be restaurants, which have same health standards. There's obviously regulations that specify the health standards for restaurants, but most restaurants will go above and beyond that because that's how you can bring in more customers and stuff like that, because if they know the place is safe, they know the food will be safe, and they won't have to worry about that. The second one is mimetic isomorphism, which is when one organization copies another. So when one organization doesn't really know what to do, it is better to copy a legitimate company. So an example here would be when one school of low reputation copies one of a high reputation. Pretty much a lot of schools would copy Ivy League schools such as, Brown or Yale or Harvard to up their requirements and hopefully in turn boost their reputation as well. The last one would be normative isomorphism. So it's when professionals bring shared ideas, values, and norms from their training to the workplace. So pretty much like things like latest ideas from business schools spread rapidly because all those professionals carry the same mentality and information. Organizations are often rewarded for being similar to each other, which makes it easier for them to transact with other organizations. Also, nonconformity leads to questions, criticism, and inspection. Implementing someone like a diversity officer may look like a company has made improvements when nothing has actually changed. However, really here, all that matters is how external sources view the organization. So this is pretty much just symbolic control. And only in a crisis do people actually ask why the regulators did not do their job. Just because regulators are in place does not mean that they're actually doing anything. But because they're there, people feel more safe thinking that the standards are being upheld. This would be shown with the Federal Emergency Management Agency, or FEMA, which was set up to save people, but doesn't always pull through, i.e. in Hurricane Katrina, they were sent there, but they didn't fulfill exactly what they are promised to do or what their organization is supposed to maintain in their standards. Also, for organizations